Hello everyone and welcome to another Top 5 Records video. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the best albums of 1970. As a matter of fact, this is going to be the top 50 of the best albums of 1970. And it took me a long time to get to this list. But here it is. Nevertheless, the 50 best albums from 1970. Kicking it off immediately with this beautiful gem. At number 50, Nilsson sings Newman. This is a record on which Harry Nilsson sings the songs of Randy Newman. Now, why is this interesting? Well, because Randy Newman is one of the big, brilliant songwriters of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and as a matter of fact, perhaps even 90s. A true genius with a very own voice. But what does it sound like when somebody else with a very beautiful, crystal clear, distinct voice, one of the heroes of the Beatles, sings it? That's what you get when Harry Nilsson sings Randy Newman. With songs like Love Story, Yellow Man, Cowboy, I'll Be Home, Dayton, Ohio, 1903, and So Long Dad. So Long Dad is a brilliant song. So many great songs. And that done by Harry Nilsson. I'm very happy that I can start this top 50 with such a good album. Wait until what's to come. At number 50, Nilsson sings Newman. At number 49, already something that in other years would make it to the top 10. Joni Mitchell, Ladies of the Canyon. I actually found this copy a couple of weeks ago in New York in a record shop in Manhattan, at a place where somebody who worked for the Criterion Channel told me loads of brilliant stories. And there, while listening to his stories, I found one of the best Joni Mitchell albums, Ladies of the Canyon. It got Big Yellow Taxi, it got Woodstock, so many great songs. The sound of it is just astonishing. When a friend of mine heard this is a second US pressing, he just was immediately unhappy with the recent one step that he bought. Brilliant, brilliant album, brilliant sounding album. At number 49, Joni Mitchell, Ladies of the Canyon. At number 48, one of the oldest records that I actually own, in the sense that I own it for the longest time. Just when I moved to Amsterdam, I found this for $1 at a record store. An original, I believe it's an original British pressing. I didn't really look close into it, but it has the red mono blue stereo. This is a blue one, this is a stereo one. 10 years after, what an incredible band. This is a masterpiece. Already a masterpiece. I really enjoyed listening to it back then, but somehow, and I don't fully understand it, I listened to it a lot 10 years ago. I was making this list. I thought, oh yeah, I love this album. But I haven't played it that often since. So this is the first record that I'm going to put on after recording the video. 10 years after, Cricklewood Green at number 48. At 47, Faces, First Step. And I even think this is my favorite Faces album. Why? It has got a lot to do with the way this record sounds like a beautiful, unique, full-sounding whole. It is such a distinct, smooth, almost chocolate-like sound, and that with the voice of Rod Stewart, with Kenny Jones on drums, with Ronnie Lane on bass, with Ron Wood on guitar. I mean, what a brilliant bunch of guys together. And this record, it really, really is nice, smooth. Can I say pop rock? I'll just say pop rock. At 47, Faces, First Step. At 46, okay. This is the first moment when I might be insulting some people. But it is also to start a discussion here. But not just start a discussion. I'm going to start a discussion nevertheless. But I really feel a lot for this. At number 46, it's going to be Let It Be by the Beatles. Now, why that introduction? Because I think that a lot of people may be thinking, ah, that should be higher. And I disagree, obviously, because I think it's a very good album. It's a little bit messy, and I don't think all band members get out in their best possible way. It has some great songwriting, but I really prefer the original Get Back version that was released a couple of years ago, and I even more prefer the Let It Be Naked version. This was a tough record to get made and to get made coherent. Nevertheless, it got brilliant Beatles songs like Let It Be, Get Back, I've Got a Feeling, Across the Universe. Great songs. But it's the Beatles, not at their best, and they are competing with the best of 1970, which is one of the best years in music history, in my opinion. Also, they are competing with other Beatles albums, which you will find in this list. And I think that first year of the Beatles, after the Beatles, they were quite the competitors for themselves, at least on Let It Be. Abbey Road is at least they are great big competitors for Let It Be. Well, obviously they're going to be a list of even better. Nevertheless, great album at number 46, Let It Be. At number 45, this may be introduced in the same certain way. I had a discussion a couple of weeks ago with somebody who was talking about that Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, perhaps apart from Neil Young, were not that spectacular outside after Deja Vu or Solo. And I couldn't disagree more, because at 45, we have Stephen Stills' self-titled first solo album. Now, it does open with a song that I find of a bizarre identity or a bizarre lyric, namely Love the One You're With, which has, nevertheless, Rita Coolidge and John Sebastian and David Crosby and Graham Nash as backing vocals. I mean, that's smooth. But the idea that if you can't be with the one you love, then love the one you're with. Let's not follow Stephen Stills' philosophy. I'm not sure if he wrote the lyrics, though. There are so many good songs here, nevertheless, even great songs. And this album, with beautiful, full, intimate sound, has so many interesting artists that Stephen Stills' first album is the only original album that both features Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton on different songs, though, but it features both of them. So, at number 45, Stephen Stills' his debut, his self-titled album. At number 44, Spirit, 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus. This is a mythical, interesting, very unique rock album, and in my opinion, the best record that Spirit made. It is very distinct. It's, would I call it bizarre? No, it's easy to get into, but it has its beautiful own identity. It is featured in 1001 albums you must hear before you die, and I agree. This is one of the 1001 albums you must hear before you die. At number 44, Spirit, 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus. At number 43, I'm gonna go for a live album. I'm gonna go for Jimi Hendrix with Band of Gypsys. And I actually think this is one of the best live albums ever. Also, anyone who has seen my video, the top 50 best live albums ever, may know that already. You can find it on my channel. First of all, the sound. There are a lot of Jimi Hendrix live albums out there, but the quality and sound just really varies. This record was mastered by Bob Ludwig at Sterling, and the recording was done so beautiful, close, and intimate. Oh man, you are in for a treat. The way Machine Gun sounds here. A Message to Love, Power of Soul, but mostly this version of Machine Gun is as good as it is gonna get. 43, Hendrix, Band of Gypsys. At number 42, the first Beatles after Beatles. Though this was the one that was the first big hit, and some people may even say that it's the best Beatles solo album. I tend to disagree though. Here it is. George Harrison, All Things Must Pass. And this album shows that George Harrison grew as a songwriter, and he had so many brilliant songs still up his sleeve. Brilliant songs. He worked with an incredible band, and this album is just an epic work. Now, I'm gonna defend myself immediately because some Beatles fans or George Harrison fans will say this should have been way up in the top 10. The competition for 1970 is just so big. It has some of the best things George Harrison has written. It also has stuff that is far from that. The third record, Apple Jam, is just a goofy jam session that should not have. I mean, for a bonus record, I can imagine that you put it there, but for a normal album, this could have been a double album. And if it would have been a double album, it would have been way up higher on my list. So, nevertheless, it's a great album. Love it. At number 42, George Harrison, All Things Must Pass. At number 41, already there are so many brilliant albums in this list. I mean, so early on, so many brilliant albums. This might even be the best album by Santana. Abraxas. I just did a video on the recent Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab reissue, and I compared it to this first US pressing, which is really astonishing. MoFi even beat that one. This is the record with Black Magic Woman. And it's so much more than just Black Magic Woman, but this is the record with Black Magic Woman. I love it. It has such a beautiful, distinct sound. It's so daring. It is so unique. Awesome, awesome album. At number 41, Santana, Abraxas. At number 40, another moment for Rod Stewart. With this record, Gasoline Alley. Why Gasoline Alley in this list and why so high? I think by far this is the best solo album that Rod Stewart did. The sound of the acoustic guitar, the way he builds up on, well, the way the guitar player builds up on Gasoline Alley, it just gives you this very distinct sense of the world of Rod Stewart, in my opinion, which is this hanging out in alleyways next to pubs and getting in and out of pubs, having fun, messing around, singing songs, being blessed and gifted by one of the best voices in rock, and just goofing around. This man just never seems to be serious, and this record dives into the street romance of that. Opening of Gasoline Alley, after that, a beautiful version of It's All Over Now. A lot of good songs, but I mostly love it because it is such a beautiful, coherent identity. A very, very strong record. It is also in the book 1,000 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. And I think it should be. This is really good. At number 40, Rod Stewart, Gasoline Alley. At number 39, the Guess Who, Share the Land. This may be the best record by the Guess Who. I think the Guess Who are a very punchy, edgy hard rock band. You may know them from American Woman, which is also a very fine album. But I think this one, because it has more diversity in the quality of writing, there are some very epic moments. It's really a banger. Great moment in hard rock. At 39, the Guess Who, Share the Land. And from hard rock to prog rock, and perhaps even one of the edges of prog rock. At number 38, Gentle Giant, their first self-titled album, Gentle Giant. If you haven't heard this yet, please do yourself a favor. Give it a shot. It may be a little bit too experimental, but they are on the edge of conquering new sounds at this moment in time, and it still stands as one incredible album. At number 38, Gentle Giant, Gentle Giant. At number 37, one of the big guns here, the Beach Boys' Sunflower. And though some people are critical of the years after Pet Sounds, I think that the late 60s and early 70s, the Beach Boys made their best work. This record has a lot of great songs. It has a very lovable vibe, very enjoyable. I have to keep it short because else this video is going to get too long. Love this one. Sunflower at 37. At 36, Taste on the Boards. This is, I know that some people are going to get mad, but I think this might be the finest moment by Rory Gallagher. In this trio, just the sheer power of blues rock. I think I prefer Taste above Cream. Talking about blues rock trios, Rory Gallagher just has the edge. He just has to shout. This record opens with What's Going On. Go out on YouTube and listen to their live at the Isle of Wight version of What's Going On. There is so much power and energy. One awesome rock trio. At number 36, Taste on the Boards. At number 35, from very hard and heavy blues rock to very gentle, tender music, The Carpenters, Close to You. And it took me some time to accept, just as with ABBA, that this is just really, really, really good. I know some people might say this is just too sweet tooth. It's not. I don't even think it's too sweet tooth. It is just very tight, gorgeous pop, and it's just one beautiful song after another. The way they do Help, the way they do Close to You, the Burt Bacharach song, Baby It's You, I'll Never Fall in Love Again. So many great melodies. It's not edgy, but good music doesn't always have to have an edge. This is okay. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. 35, The Carpenters, Close to You. At 34, again, this is a controversial choice, but I stand by it. Paul McCartney's self-titled first album, McCartney. Now, why is it controversial? Some people think the record is a bit too messy, that there's too much experimenting, too much home studio demo elements going on here. I don't think that is the case. I also love that quirky element in the White Album, and that quirky element is here. And while you have funny messing arounds, you also have a song like Maybe I'm Amazed. Well, that's a masterpiece. Without any doubt, that is a masterpiece. And this record has more. That is really, really good. At number 34, Paul McCartney. McCartney. At number 33, Frank Zappa, Chungus Revenge. Why Chungus Revenge? Well, honestly, in all these top 50 videos, you cannot deny that at any moment during the 60s and 70s, how interesting pop or rock or blues rock or jazz went, there's always Frank Zappa that keeps expanding his universe, keeps finding new sounds. That is a world on its own. This is, again, one of the many, many, many great albums by Zappa. At number 33, and though he might disagree, I think Zappa would be very angry with me putting this one just above his, but he's not around here. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jesus Christ Superstar, and Tim Rice as well. This, people might say, this is a musical. Well, I'd say this is a rock opera. Why? It's definitely a rock album. It has Ian Gillan doing the vocals for Jesus. He was the original Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. Then you have Murray Head, one of the most underrated musicians or vocalists of the 60s, 70s, and as a solo artist, he was brilliant, doing Judas. Yvonne Elliman, what's her name again? Is also doing a brilliant job here. This is brilliantly written. Listen to Ian Gillan doing Gethsemane. Listen to it, and try to disagree that this is one of the highlights of the hard rock or rock years. Gethsemane is really sweet. And Ian Gillan actually took 3 hours in the studio to sing the entire double album. Man. Number 31. John Cale, Vintage Violence, the first solo album of John Cale after he left the Velvet Underground. Now, this album has many great songs. For me, the highlights are Amsterdam and Ghost Story. John Cale really showed with this record that he is a very good rock songwriter, a very good vocalist. He can carry an album. He has something unique to say. He has a unique sound, and he truly is a brilliant solo artist. At number 31, John Cale, Vintage Violence. And I am moving to the number 30. Eric Burdon and War, The Black Man's Burden. I'll tilt the cover. At number 30, this is a rock soul experiment by Eric Burdon that wanted to do something else after the Animals. And it's very intriguing. It's very hard to describe what they are actually doing here. There are some beautiful covers here. Back in Black, for example. There's a beautiful version of Nights in White Satin, and it returns. There are themes that return. A very soulful album. War is, in my opinion, one of the great bands of the 70s. One of the too often underrated bands, and the combination with that edgy full voice of Eric Burdon is just really good. At number 30, Eric Burdon and War, The Black Man's Burden. At number 29, Eric Clapton, actually Derek and the Dominos, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, while Eric Clapton was doing guitar for All Things Must Pass on George Harrison's album At Night. Literally the same nights he would be working on this blues rock classic. He would take, I believe he would even take the band members of George Harrison. He would also take more of George Harrison. I think a lot of people may know what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, working on a masterpiece, even covering Jimi Hendrix, Little Wing is on here. That's daring. Well, it is a masterpiece. At number 29, Derek and the Dominos, Layla and Other Love Songs. At 28, one of the highlights of the Deep Purple discography. Deep Purple in rock. Now, first of all, this record should be in the list, even only for the fact that Child in Time is on here. But I want to talk about other songs as well. Speed King is good. Flight of the Rat is an awesome song. This is Deep Purple introducing a new identity, a very edgy sound, and becoming one of the defining bands in the world of hard rock. At number 28, Deep Purple in rock. At number 27, from very edgy hard rock to beautiful Gentile pop, even once more. Cat Stevens, T for the Tillerman. It's as if you're walking here into a very gentle Lord of the Rings like fairy tale world, Middle Earth, I'd say then, yeah. With so many incredible songs. I mean, Wild World, Wild World, Hard-Headed Woman, T for the Tillerman, Father and Son. I mean, so many of these songs that you have heard on the radio And when I listened to this record for the first time, I thought, oh I mean, I know at least half of it, and I love it all, but I knew at least half of it. At number 27, Cat Stevens' Tea for the Tillerman, another singer-songwriter album. At 26, Elton John's Elton John, which is not his first solo album, it's actually his second solo album, but Empty Sky is not so good, and this one really is. I have a first UK copy here, and those are the best sounding ones, and it's lucky it's near mint. But opening with your song, yeah, what we like to add, opening with your song. Talk about great pop melodies. Might not even be my favorite song on this album. I love the Border song, which is on the other side, which showed so much power of Elton John. As a matter of fact, this is a powerhouse of songwriting, of gorgeous melodies. What is the piano actually doing? How many different melodical moments can a hand on a piano contain? You know, it's stunning. I love this. At number 26, Elton John's second album and the self-titled one. At number 25, yeah, the Stooges, Funhouse. Now, this one is a powerhouse, and I actually just did a video with a top 5 of best Iggy Pop albums. You can check it out on my channel. You got TVI here. You got 1970, Funhouse. This is really, really good. At number 25, the Stooges, Funhouse. At number 24, I didn't even think about this while making the list, but I put 2 of the best friends together. Iggy Pop on 25, and on 24, David Bowie, the man who sold the world. And this album is Bowie in his progressive folk rock era. Oh, the Madman is a great song. Black Country Rock is a great song. The Superman, oh, love that one. The White of the Circle, the title track, of course. The Man Who Sold the World. Bowie. I wish I had a first UK one. Then you have Bowie in drag, but that one goes for thousands and thousands of euros. So I'm happy to have this is even a bootleg copy. I do have a second UK. It's supposedly even better sounding than the first UK. But yeah, you know, the feel of an original. On 23, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Cosmos Factory. I mean, in a very short amount of time, John Fogerty wrote so many brilliant songs, and he had this incredible output. This is part of it. Incredible album. The raw sound, it truly rocks. It has its own identity. It has I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Love it. At number 23, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Cosmos Factory. At number 22, another live album, The Rolling Stones, Get Your Ya-Ya's Out. This is one of those live albums that really had an impact on me. The Stones here sound so fresh, so full. It really is a powerhouse of live performance. Opening with Jumpin' Jack Flash, then you get Carol, Stray Cat Blues, beautiful version of Love in Vain, Midnight Rambler rocks, Sympathy for the Devil, Live With Me, Honky Tonk Woman, Street Fighting Man, and that at a beautiful moment in time, recorded in New York, Madison Square Garden in 1969. I love it. Get Your Ya-Ya's Out by the Rolling Stones at number 22. At number 21, the first jazz album in this list, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Roots and Herbs on Blue Note Records. I think this might be my second or third favorite Art Blakey album. It is so dynamic. It has such a full, fascinating sound. If you take a look at the band, Bobby Timmons on piano, yeah, then Wayne Shorter on tenor sax, and you get Lee Morgan on trumpet, and of course Art Blakey on drums. Need I say more? Wow. What an awesome album. At number 21, Art Blakey, Roots and Herbs. Moving into the top 20 right now. Let's have a look here. Yes. No, I got the wrong stack. This is the right stack. Yes. At number 20, The Velvet Underground, Loaded. And this just had a audiophile reissue on 45 RPM by Analog Productions. What I'm holding here is an original pressing. I'm going to do a comparison video very soon on this channel. This is actually one of the powerhouses of Lou Reed. Opening of Who Loves the Sun. I love the vibe. I love the lightness of it. I love the lightness of the entire album. This record has the Holy Trinity. 3 brilliant songs, one after another. Who Loves the Sun? Then Sweet Jane. I mean, songwriting, poetry in one song. And then rock and roll. Ending with New Age on side 1. And the other side also has some great songs like Oh Sweet Nothing and Lonesome Cowboy Bill. Oh, it's really, really good. I'm gonna put this aside. Gonna play it later on. So good. At number 19. This is an unusual suspect, but I had to put this on this place. I Am the Blues by Willie Dixon. And Willie Dixon is one of the... He's the biggest blues songwriter ever. You see songs of him being covered everywhere, and he wrote mostly for Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, and they were jealous of the songs he gave to the other because he was just so constantly good. But he was also a very good vocalist, also a brilliant musician, appearing on a lot of records actually. But he was also a very good vocalist, and this is his second solo album, and it is just astonishing. He actually, this is somewhat of a greatest hits done for the first time by himself. There's songs like I Ain't Superstitious, You Shook Me, I'm Your Hoochie Coochie Man, The Little Red Rooster. That's just some songs on side 2. Side 1, Backdoor Man, I Can't Quit You Baby, The Seventh Son, and Spoonful. I mean, these are all the best blues songs of the late 50s and early 60s, and performed by the man himself. One of the best blues albums ever. At number 19, Willie Dixon, I Am the Blues. At number 18, Van Morrison, Moondance. Jazzy influences here, folk influences here, and it all leads to a unique sound for a very unique artist. This one, Moondance, has some of his best songs in my opinion. Just the song Moondance. It's the doom, 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 doom. It's that there's something in the beat there that is just mesmerizing. Then the way later on in the album, the sound of Van Morrison's voice on something like Caravan, it is... What an album. Beautiful album for this time of year actually. At number 18, Van Morrison, Moondance. At number 17, Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water. I did a ranking of the Simon and Garfunkel body of work earlier this year, so you might want to check that out on this channel. Let's say I was very thrilled with this album. I think almost everyone who likes Simon and Garfunkel is thrilled with this album. Opening with Bridge Over Troubled Water, then El Condor Pasa, Cecilia, that's also so good. Then on side 2, The Boxer, Baby Driver, and The Only Living Boy in New York. Need I say more? No, I'm not going to say more. It's just stunning. A beautiful, beautiful album. At number 17, Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water. At number 16, I'm still doubting if I should have put this higher, but there's just too much. There's too much great records out there. At number 16, Black Sabbath's first self-titled album. It is the birth of heavy metal. And it immediately shows the core quality of heavy metal, namely melodies. A rough sound, but a core that lies in mysticism, elements of horror and gothic, but mostly melodies. This is an album filled with brilliant melodies. Haunting sounds, but brilliant, brilliant melodies. Number 16, Black Sabbath's Black Sabbath. At number 15, Melanie, Candles in the Rain. So why did I pause there? Because we're nearing the end of 2024. And I didn't think about the emotional element going on here because Melanie passed away earlier this year. And I think she's one of the great singer-songwriters of the 60s and the 70s. At a relatively young age, she wasn't that old. She was in her early 70s. And she was still very prolific. This album, I do not understand why so little people talk about this. The first time I bought this, I bought it at the same time I bought the White Album. And I took the White Album and Melanie home with me. And a friend of mine came over for beers and for records. One of the best things to do with your time, in my opinion. And we listened to the White Album. And that friend of mine, interested in the Beatles, he had never listened to the White Album. And I thought, oh God, now I'm going to introduce him to Melanie after listening to my favorite Beatles White Album. And I put it on. I thought, let's start with Candles in the Rain and lay down. And he said, no, keep it on. And we kept playing the entire record. And you get a song like What Have They Done to My Song, Ma? You get the beautiful cover of Ruby Tuesday. Then you get Leftover Wine. Last song, Leftover Wine. And a friend of mine was crying and I was completely struck. This record was good song after good song. Gorgeous melodies. A voice that is shouting and singing at the same time. And after Leftover Wine, a friend of mine was crying. He said, can you put that on again? Because at that moment, years and years ago, Leftover Wine made a bigger impact than the White Album on him. And we should pay closer attention to this gorgeous, gorgeous masterpiece. At number 15, Melanie, Candles in the Rain. At number 14, sadly, another artist who passed away, and it's pure coincidence because I was working on this list way before he passed away. It's Kris Kristofferson's Kris Kristofferson, though this is a reissue that is entitled Me and Bobby McGee because that was the biggest hit of this album. This is Kris Kristofferson stepping into the world of country and immediately having a very distinct, own unique voice. The timbre, the rhythm, the way he speaks, the low quality, and the very convincing storytelling. But also a raw, gorgeous sound that this is one of the biggest steps in the world of country music, and make it grown up, make it embrace flaws, and make it more human. With songs like Blame It on the Stones, To Beat the Devil, Me and Bobby McGee, Help Me Make It Through the Night, masterpiece, and Sunday Morning Coming Down, again, masterpiece. Songwriting on a level that is rarely shown. At number 14, Kris Kristofferson's Kris Kristofferson, sadly passed away earlier this year as well. At number 13, I think this is the biggest flop of Frank Sinatra. It is Watertown. And Sinatra noticed back in the day that he was losing grip on pop, on jazz. So he asked musical writers to write him a concept album. And that writing is some of the best I have ever heard. It's about the final moments in a relationship, a family that is going through a divorce. And Sinatra has lyrics like never before. And he seems to understand what is going on like no other vocalist. Watertown is a masterpiece. At number 30, Frank Sinatra, Watertown. At number 12, Syd Barrett goes solo, The Madcap Laughs. This is a completely unique album. It's experimental, it's looking for identity, but it is also a look inside somebody who has so many incredible melodies. A masterpiece of rock. I'm not even sure if I could call it psychedelic rock. It's just too free. And it's produced by David Gilmour and Roger Waters, his former band members at this time. He made a masterpiece. At number 12, Syd Barrett, The Madcap Laughs. At number 11, The Doors, Morrison Hotel. With one side being the hard rock side, the Hard Rock Cafe side, and the other side being the Morrison Hotel side, they were reinventing their blues hard rock origins. Awesome songs like Roadhouse Blues, Waiting for the Sun, Beast Frog, Ship of Fools, Indian Summer. They were smoking it once more. Smoking in the sense of, they smoked it. No references to that in this video. At number 11, The Doors, Morrison Hotel. Gonna go to number 10, Rodriguez, Cold Fact. Sixto Rodriguez. He stopped making music a couple of years after this because he had the idea that he was unsuccessful, though in Australia and in South America he was bigger than the Rolling Stones. And if you listen to this record, you can understand why he was bigger than the Rolling Stones. Opening track, Sugar Man, is just mesmerizingly good, and the entirety of this album, songs like Inner City Blues, I Wonder, Crucify Your Mind, the rhythm in his voice, the melodies, that he is completely unique. And I'm so happy he had his revival a couple of years ago with that documentary, Searching for Sugar Man. If you haven't seen that, please do. You'll fall in love with a new artist if you haven't done that already. At number 10, Rodriguez, Cold Fact. At number 9, my final statement with regards to, is Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young still good after Deja Vu? Oh yeah, because Neil Young made After the Gold Rush, and what he does here is just mesmerizingly good. This may be one of his most challenging albums in the sense of songwriting, with songs like, after the title track is great, I Believe in You, Cripple Creek Ferry, When You Dance, I Can Really Love, I like that one, Don't Let It Bring You Down, oh that's so good, Oh Lonesome Me, so many great songs, and Neil Young really being on a roll as a songwriter. At number 9, After the Gold Rush. At number 8, The Grateful Dead, American Beauty. What a band! And I think this is the best record by the Grateful Dead. There is this smooth, calm, relaxed quality there, but it just does keep on driving. It does keep on flowing, and they have so many gorgeous stories to tell, so many gorgeous vocal melodies that just seem to come out without any effort. So good. Great album. At number 8, The Grateful Dead, American Beauty. At number 7, one of the big moments in time by Miles Davis, Bitches Brew. If you haven't heard this one already, be sure to be confused. Yeah, be confused. Sound-wise, musically, there is so much going on here. The birth of acid jazz. It's challenging, it's daring, it's an adventure in its own. It's a lovable masterpiece. At number 7, Miles Davis, Bitches Brew. At number 6, another controversial choice because some people think this does not belong at the top of the Pink Floyd catalog. I definitely think it does. I think it's an underestimated masterpiece. Atom Heart Mother, with the title track Atom Heart Mother on side 1, which is this epic opera of psychedelic progressive rock that just goes, it takes you as a listener to places that you have never been before. The first time I heard it, I was just blown away. I could not believe music like that was made. And I always thought that this is a record with side one being the main attraction. Then I found this pressing, beautiful American pressing done by Harold T. Moss, which sounds spectacularly. And I found out that side two has so many other great songs. For example, If, beautiful melody. Summer 68, Fat Old Son, Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. This, oh, at the microphone, sorry about that. This is just a masterpiece of performing, songwriting, producing. At number 6, Pink Floyd, Atom Heart, Mother. At number 5, yeah, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Deja Vu. What else can I say about this? I mean, this is the moment that all that talent came together, and it's just one great song after another. These are harmonies, these are vocals that will take you to the most beautiful places. It is really so many great songs. I love this record. At number 5, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Deja Vu. At number 4, we're entering the end of this video and the end of this list. Led Zeppelin III. With one side electric and one side acoustic. And hearing about that before putting it on, I thought, oh, well, Led Zeppelin acoustic, will it rock? Oh yes, it does rock. It has mysticism. It has, you can hear that this was written in nature, in Bron Ir, which is this old stone cabin that Robert Plant went to with his family when he was younger. There's mysticism. There is this, again, I'm going to say it for the second time in this video, this Middle Earth kind of sense to it. There is powerhouse in hard rock, like the Immigrant Song. I love it. At number 4, Led Zeppelin III. At number 3, one of the records that changed my life, as a matter of fact. Yeah. This is my most beloved live album, The Who, Live at Leeds. And I think that why a live album so high on the list? Well, because this really opened up the doors to what live music could sound like, what a live band could carry energy-wise, how much dynamics, audience, and sheer fun on stage could add to already good songs. These might be the ultimate versions of the songs on this album, because The Who is having, they sound like they're having fun, though Pete Towns always said that he wasn't too sure if he liked the other members. It does sound like he's having fun, at least with the music, if not with the other members of the band. So powerful. The way Magic Bus sounds, the way that harmonica. I mean, the first time I listened to this, I was just blown away. I still have that image for me, that when I borrowed my father's German first pressing and I put it on the record table, and wow, wow. And this is not that pressing, by the way. This is a first British pressing, which sounds so much better. But at number 3, The Who, Live at Leeds. At number 2, second edition, second album of Black Sabbath here, Paranoid. I mean, talking about the birth of metal, those were 2 albums, Black Sabbath, and Black Sabbath, Paranoid. Opening with Warpix. Okay, is it one of the best songs ever written? Yeah, Warpix is one of the best songs ever written. Also, it shows that lyric-wise, they had so much more to say than you'd first think. Then going into Paranoid. Bomb! I mean, Paranoid, metal-wise. That, you got Iron Man, you got Electric Funeral, you got Hand of Doom, Rat Salad, Fairies Wear Boots. I mean, these are 8 incredible songs, opening the world to a new genre of music, giving something that has never been shown. And has it ever been shown? likewise afterwards, it has expanded into so many metal genres, but this is at its core still. At number 2, Black Sabbath Paranoid. At number 1, returning to the Beatles topic. Yeah, I'm gonna put John Lennon's Plastic Ono Band on number 1. A masterpiece. Why at number 1? Because I like to challenge anyone to name me an artist who has, before this album, been so open, making us as a listener part of his therapy, basically. Opening with Mother and crying out everything that went wrong there. Being as vulnerable as he was with these kinds of melodies. Doubting his life, doubting his beliefs, doubting the Beatles. Challenging that in songs like God. Being honest towards the world. Stepping out of the biggest moment in musical history and reflecting on it, on what it did on a personal level and how he got there. Each and every song here touches me. It is a masterpiece. At number 1, John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band. And I'm curious, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.